Alaska Airlines has teamed up with Hawaiian Airlines to create new nonstop international flights. Go to alaskaair.com or hawaiianairlines.com, and I'll tell you more details later in the show. I'm Rachel Bell, and this is Your Last Meal, the show where celebrities share stories about the foods they love most, and we dig into the history, culture, or science of those meals with experts from around the world. Today on the program, Matteo Bocelli.
Tonight I think I'm falling in love. Could this be how our love story starts? We're living out a scene from a movie.
That is the title track from Matteo's brand new album, Falling in Love. And if his last name sounds familiar, that's because his dad is Andrea Bocelli, the famous Italian singer. Matteo is also Italian. He lives in Tuscany, so it's not surprising that he loves pasta. But my ears perked up when he talked about what kind of pasta he eats. More specifically, the type of grains that his favorite pastas are made with. Have you heard those fabled stories about Americans who can't eat gluten in the States, but when they travel to Europe, they can magically feast on baguettes and croissants and lasagnas without getting sick? Well, a doctor, professor, and gluten intolerance expert joins the show to tell me if this is a real thing, if gluten is different on different continents. That's coming up later in the show. But first, my conversation with Matteo Bocelli. Matteo Bocelli just released his second album. His first album was created during COVID, at the height of social distancing. So this time around, he wanted everyone working on the music in the same room. You recorded at home, so I'm curious to hear what that process was like. It sounds like you were doing a lot of cooking. What was the atmosphere for recording this album?
You would be seeing lots of tomatoes on the table. I just came from the garden. This is what I really like to do on my free time. I believe that whenever you have to write songs, obviously it is important to be not in a comfort zone. But at the same time, the dress that I want to give to this record is the dress of home. I want the producer and the musicians working on the record, be living like a day of Matteo, no, and at his place. So I want them to experience my friends, my family, me cooking, and for them. And I'm very excited. I'm very proud of what we achieved because my first record was coming from the COVID time, so you could kind of like feel this connection as well in the music. Even though I really loved the songs in that first record. But this time I've been able truly to make it and to work on it as I always dreamed of. Musicians in the room, I think it's very special.
Did you guys have a big sleepover? Was everyone staying at your house?
Yeah, everyone was staying at my house. That's what made everything so special because we were like living together for actually like multiple weeks. And yes, it was fun. We were obviously staying up until late because I never record my voice in the morning. I always wait after lunch when it's a little bit more warmer. And yes, we would have stayed up until 2, 3 a.m.
So tell me what you were cooking, and were you making dinner every night these several weeks for everybody who was making this album with you?
The thing that I love the most cooking is main dishes, so like risotto or pasta. Lately, I'm working on my tomato sauce. I know it's funny to say, but the simplest things sometimes are the hardest.
Oh, I completely agree with that.
There's a super famous restaurant in Italy, 3-star Michelin, that makes this famous sauce called the restaurant is called Da Vittorio, and I'm trying to make their sauce on my own way. So unfortunately, I wish you were here so that I could let you try the sauce, the tomato sauce, but I'll try to ship you maybe a jar.
I will say I've been making the show for 9 years, and one guest has sent me food, and it was a jar of their homemade tomato sauce.
Oh,
so
wow.
You can do it too.
Okay.
So tell me a little bit more about this. So you're trying to make this same recipe from, is it called Da Vittorio? Is that what you said? the restaurant's called?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So is this something where you were able to get a recipe, or were you going in and you're tasting and you're like taking notes and trying to figure it out at home?
Well, I have to be honest. They gave me few like suggestions, but obviously their sauce it's super super secret. Even though like if you Google their videos of the restaurant making the sauce and they tell you all the process, but the truth is that they'll never tell you, you know, the
Yeah.
the secret of it. Um, so I made it my own way, but I think that the thing that makes it special, my version, is that obviously the tomatoes comes from my garden, so they're like super organic, and I feel like when you have like the quality stuff, you know, quality ingredients, then it's pretty easy to make good things, you know.
Even if they're just using tomatoes, garlic, olive oil, it's like a different variety of tomatoes where the tomatoes are grown. Like you
Yeah.
really can taste that when there's only a few ingredients. Can you walk me through this recipe that how you're making it, like from start to finish?
Okay, so I'll tell you the secrets, because
Okay.
it's very easy. The secrets are obviously in the little details, but basically, the base is simply olive oil and garlic. Don't ask me to the like the precise quantity because it's gonna be very tough for me. I'm not super mathematic, you know, like I don't follow exactly. But yes, it's olive oil and garlic, the base, and then after that you simply pour in the pan the tomatoes. In my case, I use I think like three different tomatoes, two of which are red tomatoes and one is yellow tomato. And then I cook them for at least half an hour. And after that, that's the trick. That's the most important part. How do you say? How do you say
Oh, you
when you use the
blend
steak?
it?
Yeah, I blend it all. So I don't remove seeds, I don't remove the skin, nothing. I blend everything together. And then I use, in Italian it's called il colino cinese. It's like filter,
Right? You strain
like
it
the
through.
Chinese filter, it's called kind of. Yeah. So I use that one to remove the seeds and the skin. So basically it's just this powerful delicious like taste of tomato.
Yeah.
And I add some salt, obviously, and then I put it into jars. But if you wanna cook it right away, obviously at the end you need some basil and a lot of Parmesan cheese. Yeah, in Italy, must be honest, we have the best quality stuff. Yeah, food.
I have to say, when I've been in Italy, that has been my favorite thing to eat. You know, there's so many different things, but it does taste different there. And there's just like this brightness and a flavor that I think you don't get with a lot of American tomatoes. I order it and I feel like I'm a child, like in every restaurant I'm ordering like a baby, but I just want tomato sauce.
Yeah, I know. It's very special. Again, it's simple, it's easy, but what makes the real difference is the quality of tomatoes.
You have said
Oh.
that you could eat pasta breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I'm curious, what is your favorite pasta shape?
Pasta shape very much depends on what type of sauce you're cooking. So, for example, for my tomato sauce, I would say rigatoni. But like, for example, if you make pesto is famous to be cooked with trofie.
Yeah, and that's
And
from when in Cinque Terre, right? Like where you would have that special.
bravissimo.
Yeah,
Yes, that's
yeah.
it. But if you cook, for example, another pasta that I love, it's aglio, olio, peperoncino, garlic, olive oil, and red chili peppers. In that case, I love spaghetti.
It's very logical that you would have different shapes that go with different sauces, but I think a lot of people here, they don't know that till they're older. Was that something you were raised knowing?
Definitely, like in the Italian culture, these things are more like common, and you kind of like learn them like growing up, no? Because you have your mom cooking for you. But at the same time, I always enjoyed, you know, spending time with my friends, cooking, you know, on our own. And I had a specific friend, way older than me, that he would have, you know, taught me to how to cook basically everything, starting from the simplest thing to the more kind of like sophisticated one.
Trivia time! I mentioned earlier that a past guest mailed me a jar of their homemade tomato sauce. Do you remember who that was? If you are one of the OG Your Last Meal listeners shouting, Isaac Mizrahi, you are correct. and Isaac's sauce was very good. If you follow Isaac on Instagram, you know that not only is he hilarious, he loves to eat and cook. And I happen to know firsthand that he's an excellent cook. A, the tomato sauce, and B, Isaac invited me to his Manhattan kitchen so we could cook together a few years ago. I got to share a dish with him. We made my salmon tacos with homemade tortillas. I brought my heavy metal tortilla press in my carry-on luggage, and it got flagged by TSA, not because it's not allowed through, but because this TSA agent had no idea what it was. And when I told him, he looked at me like I was crazy and said so innocently, "You can make homemade tortillas?" Anyway, we made my dish, and then Isaac taught me how to make his butternut squash ravioli. Both of these videos are up on YouTube. I will link to them in the show notes. All right, after the break, Matteo shares his last meal, and an Italian doctor living in America tells me why some gluten-sensitive people can happily and safely stuff their faces with croissants and pizza while they're traveling through Europe. Fall is by far my favorite season to travel, and with Alaska Airlines and Hawaiian Airlines partnering up to offer nonstop flights from Seattle to Tokyo and Seattle to Seoul, this is the perfect excuse to see the beautiful fall leaves at peak color and slurp up kimchi jjigae and ramen while the weather is perfectly crisp. Not to mention the best right persimmons. Nonstop flights from Seattle to Seoul start in October, and Seattle to Tokyo is already in full effect. Again, nonstop flights, which means you can sleep the entire way, explore the world without a layover. Book your tickets at alaskaair.com or hawaiianairlines.com. Let's talk about your last meal. If you had one meal left on Earth, what would you choose to eat?
This is so hard because probably it still would be between. Okay, no, I'm gonna say one. It's carbonara. Carbonara. It's one of those pasta that you wouldn't eat every day, but if you ask me like the last time, it would be carbonara.
Do you make carbonara?
I make a delicious carbonara. You're laughing here. I know you're making fun of me.
No,
but
I'm not. I just really liked the face that you made. You looked like so proud, and you also just looked like you were kind of eating it in that moment. Like I could see the pleasure on your face. That's why I'm laughing because I could just see like the love.
If you ever pass by, let me know that I invite you.
Okay.
With everyone, and because I love to open the house to friends and to cook for them. So if you're ever around Tuscany, just let me know.
I'm probably stopping by later today. I'm in the neighborhood. Tell me about your carbonara. What goes into it? What kind of pasta do you use?
So first of all, it's the quality of the pasta. We say sensibilizzare in Italian.
To help you understand.
Yeah, to help people understand that, the grains today are quite a problem as food in general, because they're very they're modified, they're processed, they put a lot of stuff. And in Italy, we have this luck to have this type of grain that is called Senatore Cappelli. So basically, is an ancient grain, and actually, I can show you here. This is it. It's Senatore Cappelli.
And that's the name of the grain. That's not the brand.
Yeah, this is the name of the grain.
Okay.
And the brand is this one. In this case, it's Le Stagioni d'Italia. And so basically, a lot of people, some people may be celiac simply because they truly are since their birth. But a lot of people today are intolerant. And the intolerance comes from this, basically, from the fact that grains are so modified. And so they have, for example, like 5 times the amount of gluten inside compared to an ancient grain. So quality of food is the most important thing to make anything good. Then what I do, we have guanciale as well. Guanciale is the cheek of the pig. You cut it in slices. Even there, everyone makes it their own way. I mostly like it when they're pretty thin. I don't like when the guanciale it's very big. So you cook that. The guanciale makes a lot of fat, and you remove it and you keep it on a side. Once the guanciale is ready, I prepare the eggs. The more yellow you use, the better it is. So for example, if we are 5 people, I would say 7 eggs, 2 full, and 5 only the yellows. And then obviously you need pecorino romano, no Parmesan, pecorino romano. Always remember to salt the water, not too much, because you're gonna have a lot of salt in the guanciale, a lot of salt in the pecorino romano. So you prepare the eggs with pecorino romano and pepper. Then they say to not cook the egg. That's very true. But you don't even want it cold. I break the eggs and the cheese and everything. I break it on a glass bowl and I put it on top of the boiling water.
Okay, like you're
But even there, you have
gently
to,
heating it.
yeah, it gently heat it. But even there, you have to be very careful because you may cook it even that way. Because if you cook it, then it becomes granulated.
Scrambled.
Yeah, scrambled. So basically, once the pasta is ready, you pour the pasta with the guanciale. You start toss it. The bowl that was properly heated but not cooked, with the eggs, you pour the pasta in it because if you toss it on the pan where you did the guanciale, you're gonna overcook the egg. Again, it would be easy to show it.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think, a dish that it's so much technique because it's only a few ingredients. It's like a textural thing because you're trying to make that really silky sauce.
Yeah. It's easy to say, but it's not that easy to then make it good.
For his last meal, Matteo Bocelli wants a perfectly prepared bowl of carbonara using Italian pasta made from ancient grains. Now, I've heard stories, and perhaps you have as well, of gluten intolerant or gluten sensitive people traveling to Italy or other parts of Europe, and they're able to eat bread and pasta with no problems. Unlike at home in the States where they get sick eating these same foods. I wanted to know if there was any scientific validity to these anecdotal stories, so I called up Dr. Alessio Fasano, professor of pediatrics and nutrition at Harvard Medical School and an author specializing in celiac disease, gluten-related disorders, and autoimmune diseases. Is this true? Is there any truth to the fact that they can eat bread and pasta in Europe and not have a reaction like they do in the US?
Okay, so to intelligibly answer the question, some disclaimers. On paper, should not be true because, grains are grains. However, despite my initial skepticism, I hear this story over and over again of patients going to Europe are able to eat stuff that they cannot eat definitely in the United States without paying a price. And the other disclaimer, we're not talking about celiac disease, that is the worst case scenario in autoimmune response to gluten, in which even a small amount of gluten can harm you. So these people, no matter if they eat in the US or Europe, they should not eat anything that has, gluten containing in there.
Okay, so celiac people are excluded. But what about all the other gluten sensitive and gluten allergic folks?
The honest answer is we don't know for sure. There are hypotheses.
Dr. Fasano says it is not the wheat itself that is different, it's how it's treated. Most American wheat is grown with pesticides that are outlawed in Europe. So those pesticides may cause inflammation and health problems. Another hypothesis has to do with how the bread is made.
The typical way that bread is made in Europe is the traditional way. So you have the water, the flour, the yeast. It's a lengthy overnight process.
The ingredients are simple, but more importantly, that overnight ferment makes it possible for people to digest the gluten.
It's kind of weird. If you allow me the comparison, the proteins are sort of pearl necklace that needs to be broken in small pieces that we call peptides. And then the pearls needs to be peeled one at a time that we call amino acids in order to be absorbed and then used as energy source. To do that, we use scissors. They are digestive enzymes to break this, pearl necklace in pieces. Gluten is the only protein that we all cannot completely digest, not just the people with the problem. So there are these undigested peptides that if you're genetic will induce inflammation.
He says letting the dough rest, letting it ferment for 16, 24 hours allows the enzymes to dismantle the peptides that cause inflammation.
Here in the United States, because we're in the fast lane of life, we don't wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to make bread anymore. And that it's not an overnight process. So we generate some new technology to make this in a couple hours. So you don't have the time to dismantle a good load of these peptides.
But what about bread that is made the traditional European way in the US? There are plenty of artisan bakeries that use local, organic, pesticide-free grains, sourdough starters, and do those long ferments.
There have been no studies, but anecdotally, there have been reports that indeed they have the same results of the bakeries in Europe.
Okay. As for the ancient grains Matteo was talking about, Dr. Fasano says they naturally contain less gluten, 3 times less gluten than modern wheat. Oh, and there is one other factor to consider, the vacation effect. When people are relaxing, when they're not stressed, when they're eating leisurely meals in beautiful places, they tend to feel a lot better than when they're scarfing down a cheap sandwich from a national chain while hunched over their computer or eating an ear of corn while driving, which is something I once did on my way to work. I took a bite of the corn on the cob. I took a little bite of butter straight off the stick. This is America, baby. Life in the fast lane. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Just enough time to scarf down a nice little corn on the cob in the car. And when we come back, Matteo tells me how his dad reacted to him wanting to become a professional musician. And he tells me his thoughts on the Olive Garden. Okay, I want to talk about your dad a little bit because I read that you hid your singing talent from him when you were young. Is it true that you didn't sing for your dad until you were a teenager?
I was definitely a very shy boy, and I was mostly singing in front of my mom because her house was more quiet. I could find more privacy. But yes, let's say that I opened up to my father more at the age of 15, 16 years old. And yeah, I was pretty impressed when I did it because I remember I did it with an aria that is like a more or like opera sound. And he's so into that genre of music. I mean, I could say that he mainly listened just to opera. So it was like, wow. I mean, he really loved my voice when I was using it that way. Now that I do pop, he still appreciate what I'm doing, but again, it's a genre of music that he follows less. At the end, I always saw, obviously, my father with the eyes of a son. For me, he's not Andrea Bocelli. He's simply a father.
He wasn't pushing you to get into music at all, right?
Yeah, sometimes it's the opposite of what people think, because, sometimes people may think that it was his suggestion, Actually, it was the opposite. For example, at the age of 16, David Foster offered me to make a record with him, and my father was like, no, you're too young, you're not prepared. And so I saw that dream flying away.
Were you unhappy when he told you you couldn't make that album the first time it was offered?
Obviously, yeah. A side of me was very unhappy because definitely I felt there was an incredible opportunity that I was missing. But at the same time, you always try to see half glass full and not empty. And probably he was trying to protect me.
Matteo's new album is all about love. I'm going to ask you some love-related food questions. Have you ever invited someone over for dinner on the first date at your house?
No, because I feel like whenever you open the doors of your house, it's definitely for someone very important to you, and definitely there are certain person that you meet and immediately they, how do you say, start a fire inside you. But hardly, I bring immediately someone. I want my time.
I agree. I won't even have dinner with someone on the first date. I don't want to commit, just to drink, just to see if I even want to hang out with you for more than an hour.
Exactly.
Do you believe in foods having aphrodisiac qualities?
I mean, there are many people, talking about this topic. It never really, I think, happened to me in the sense that I simply look at the person that I have in front of me, like if someone is attractive. I don't really need extra things,
You don't need an oyster to find them attractive.
No.
What is something that you would cook for someone you love?
What would I cook? I would cook something that I think I'm good at. And again, usually I love to cook pasta. I honestly follow a lot the moment, in the sense that now I'm super focused with this tomato pasta. But if you would have asked me probably like a few months ago, it would have been pesto pasta because I planted my own basil, and I was trying to have the best recipe for pesto pasta. But yeah, it would be something like that.
You're living in Tuscany. What is a regional dish in Tuscany that maybe people outside of the country or the region wouldn't know about?
I don't know. I mean, Tuscany, for example, there's the zuppa toscana. It's called ribollita. It's a vegetable soup. The old grandmas used to make when the things in the garden were kind of like getting a little bit old. They would have cooked everything together. So it's like different type of cauliflowers, and there's bietola inside. I don't know the translation. I don't want to say a stupid thing. It's a sort of spinach. Then there are potatoes and also sometimes they were putting in guanciale, that it's a sort of like bacon. It's called ribollita because like it means like reboiled. Like you boil it twice, and you put also like very thin slices of bread in between, and it's very good. It's very tasty.
I love that soup. And it's also a good way if you have stale bread.
Not good looking. It's not very good looking. So people that come from abroad, they look at that soup like with a in a weird way, but I promise that it's very good.
It's ugly delicious.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, in America, zuppa toscana, they have it at Olive Garden, and I think that's what people think of when you hear that name. Have you ever been to an Olive Garden?
No.
Oh, have you not heard about this? This is
No.
an American chain restaurant, and it's not good Italian food, but people really love it in kind of like, I don't know, the suburbs. If you're in the States, it would be a funny video for you to make to go to Olive Garden because people would find that funny to see what you thought of this Italian food.
I will check. I'll check
You'll have to try it. And that was Matteo Bocelli's last meal. Matteo's new album is out now. It's called Falling in Love. Thank you. Send me that sauce. I'm looking for it.
Okay, just write me down the address.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you
Cool.
so much.
Thank you. Take care. Ciao.
Ciao.
Thanks to Dr. Alessio Fasano. Your Last Meal is a product of Seattle's Cascade PBS. Go to cascadepbs.org to become a member, and for as low as $7 a month, you can get on-demand access to all PBS programming and help keep public media afloat. This episode was produced by me and senior producer Sarah Bernard, assembled, mixed, and mastered by Isaac Kaplan-Woolner. Original theme music by Prom Queen. And if you're a fan of America's Test Kitchen, I am hosting a live event in Seattle on November 8th with Bridget Lancaster and Julia Collin-Davison. There will be food trivia, games, and prizes for you, and Julia and Bridget will take you behind the scenes of how they test and create recipes for the TV show and their cookbooks. And speaking of, their brand new 20th anniversary cookbook is included with your ticket. Find a link to get tickets in the show notes. I'm Rachel Bell, and this is Your Last Meal. La da 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 da. 1, 2.
The only thing that it might happen, I hope not, is my dog's barking.
That's so funny. I knew you were going to say that when you started the sentence because there's a lot of dogs in these interviews since everybody does it from home.
Okay. So it's okay for you.
It's okay. The only time it's been a problem was one guest had a parrot and it just kept squawking the whole time, and that was difficult. But the dog is okay. Okay.
Can you hear last thing.
Oh,
Can you
yeah.
hear the dishwasher?
No, I can't. But thank you so much for considering all of those things. I appreciate it.
Of course.